Welcome to another edition of Gary's Record Collection. This time out, we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to look at some of the Led Zeppelin albums that have been released officially, semi-officially, and maybe a pirate edition in here too, of the studio albums. So we're not talking about bootlegs. We're not talking about audience recordings that were pressed in the 70s on like the Trademark of Quality label or anything like that. These are legitimate, quote unquote, some of them are, albums that were put out by the record companies in Atlantic Records in different parts of the world. So we're going to start with, we'll go to Germany, and the first two albums were huge, Led Zeppelin and Led Zeppelin II. So big that Germans put out a double album, the first and second Led Zeppelin album. And they've got a picture on the front from, I think, 1969 on there. And you can see on the back, same thing, 1969 photo. Interestingly enough, this, it's called, instead of Heartbreaker, it's one word, Heartbreakers. So that's an interesting, it's a little bit of a typo. Everything else looks good on this album, printed in Germany. This was, you can get this fairly easily on Discogs or somewhere else like that. The whole idea of two albums apparently was very popular in Germany because they did the same thing again in 1974. This is called Two Originals of Led Zeppelin. And again, we've got Led Zeppelin 1 and Led Zeppelin 2. These were the biggest selling albums. So here's a great way to get both albums in one package. And this is put out by Atlantic Records, so it's a legitimate release. It's just something that you wouldn't have seen in the United States or North America. I got this next one because it was interesting, and I know that this is a pirate. This is Led Zeppelin 2, supposed to be like the Turkish release of this, but it's got a completely different cover. But these were selling on eBay for really cheap, like $30. The sticker is not even a sticker at all. It's just printed right on the cover there. So, although this yellow sticker is a sticker, but if this was a real edition of the Turkey, the Led Zeppelin 2 from Turkey, this would be worth a lot of money. This is still sealed. I didn't take it out. I didn't bother with it. I just got it as a curiosity, really. It is completely a different cover, nothing like that we've seen on any of the artwork. The back cover has a promotional picture from 1969 from the first, when they did all the artwork for the first album. So interesting there. So that is, that's a pirate. That's not legit. One that is legit is, this is Led Zeppelin 2, the club edition from overseas. Check this out. That is a great cover. That looks like, you know what? It looks like a bootleg because it does not follow the format of the Led Zeppelin albums. That font is not anything near what they ever used. But this is cool. I just thought the cover of this was really cool, and I wound up getting two of these things. One's not in the super best condition. You can kind of see it's got a little rough around the edges there, but the other one is in really good shape, and right into the plastic it goes. But yeah, and you can see the one that's in rough shape. You look on the back, and the white is kind of faded. It's not that good. The other one that's in better shape, check this out, it's like legit white, no fades at all. Yeah, we got that right into the plastic sleeve to preserve that right away. I just love the look of this album. This thing that's great. That is unlike anything else we saw. So then let's move on to Led Zeppelin 4. This was, of course, the album that had Stairway to Heaven on it. And we talked about this a little bit earlier in a different episode where we were comparing the versions of Led Zeppelin 4. So let's take a look at this. This is the Melody Recordings, the Crown and Scepter thing. This is just an actual pirate. What they did is they went and probably got the reel-to-reel of Led Zeppelin 4 when it came out, and they made their own album of it. And these melody recordings, there's a whole bunch of them that have the same look, the same cover. They got the same picture, they've got the same yellow and black layout, and they just change out the artist. I've got an Aretha Franklin one and an Emerson, Lake and Palmer one, just because they're interesting. I'm kind of see if I want to try and get them all, but I'm not going to pay a lot of money for them. The Led Zeppelin one, though, I will. This wasn't bad. This is a fairly used copy, and it kind of is a little bit rough. And then you can on the back, you can see there's like a little bit of a water stain. The one that I got, though, this one though, takes the cake. Still sealed since 1972, never been opened. I saw that and I had to jump on that. It was like, oh, I need to get this. This needs to be part of the collection for sure. Yeah, it's a pirate, but a 50-year-old record that's a pirate of Led Zeppelin and it's never been opened, still sealed and in really fantastic shape. Oh yeah, that's part of the collection for sure. This whole idea of pirating records and putting out your own versions apparently was until copyright laws were changed in the mid-70s. That was the thing, because here is another one. This is on Rot Records. This is also Led Zeppelin 4. You know, and we did, like I said, we did the sound comparisons, and this actually sounded pretty good. My guess is, of course, that they took a reel-to-reel tape and they pressed it, and these things were available in, they could have been available in drugstores, places. Think about the places that you would get records that were not a record store. And probably not a department store either. Those were serviced by the record companies. So you're talking about drugstores. You're talking about anywhere where there's like bargain records. The drugstores were a big one in the 60s and 70s. Somebody called these truck stop records. So they're at truck stops. They're at just out of the way places, maybe flea markets or whatever. And, you know, it was a cheaper way to get the Led Zeppelin 4 album. And they sold a lot of them. I mean, it was a pretty... at the time, a pretty lucrative thing. Those copyright laws changed in 73, I think it was, and that was pretty much the end of the pirate records. They could not get away with that much anymore. Then we move on to, since this is Led Zeppelin 4 was 1971, and this is probably came out, this came out in 74 actually. This is from Italy. This is just simply titled Led Zeppelin. And it's an interesting thing, and I've got a couple of copies here. This is tough to collect only because, and I say tough to collect because it's a black cover. Anytime you get a black cover, you're going to get that ring of the record around here, shelf wear, and it's hard to keep these in pristine condition. And mine are by no means pristine. I got one really nice one and one pretty good one. But so what happened here is that these are the 1971 BBC sessions. They were broadcast on the radio. This label from Italy, Joker, it's an international Joker production, and there's the label on the back. And on the back side of it is all of the previous issues, all the other records that they've put out. They were a legitimate record company for Italy. And the copyright laws there were lax, and you could put out, if it wasn't put out by the record company, I guess you could put it out. So they got a tape of the BBC sessions from 1971, the concert at the Paris Theatre, and they put it out. And that was out for a while, and it was out on album. It was on, I've seen cassette versions, and I may have seen an 8-track version of that too, but I've definitely seen the cassette. And an interesting thing is like Joker was sent a cease and desist letter, and they had to stop making this. So they had to pull all of this from production. So once that happened, these records no longer, you couldn't just order them from that record company, which was too bad, because in the mid 80s, I got a Howlin' Wolf record and I saw it on Joker. It's like, oh, it's on Joker. So it must be, hey, that Led Zeppelin one was on Joker. Maybe I can get it. And the answer there was no. So had to wait for the collector's market to come around and get this. But yeah, there's a whole ton of records on here. They put out a bunch. Unfortunately, that's the way the laws were. They changed them. And what happened was that the record company like Joker would actually pay royalties to Led Zeppelin. They would like put the money in an account, or they would just send money or whatever. And in their way of thinking, that made it legit, because, well, we're paying the royalties, it must be okay. And Zeppelin had another idea. They said, no, not okay, stop selling it. And this actually was taken as a legitimate release by several publications. I mean, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's not cheesy like a bootleg, and it's not like, terrible, hand-drawn artwork with an insert, a piece of paper just sitting in there. This is a well-produced color cover with their catalog on the back. So often mistaken as a legitimate release, but it is not. It is. I'm not sure where you would put that. Semi-official, maybe. Definitely, I don't think it was a bootleg. I guess it must have been a bootleg, but they did not treat it as such. So interesting. Anyway, those are some of the records that I've come across that are Led Zeppelin, the studio records, with the exception of the BBC session, that were legitimate or semi-legitimate. You may not have seen. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time on Gary's Record Collection.